Among the Olympian gods, one figure stood apart. He was not known for beauty. He did not rule storms. He did not command armies. His name was Hephaestus. He was the god of fire, of metal, of craftsmanship, and of creation. But his story began with rejection. In one of the oldest surviving Greek sources of the myth, Iliad, there are two accounts of what happened. In Book 18, Hephaestus says, Hera cast him out of heaven because she was ashamed that he was lame or physically deformed. However, in Book 1, Hephaestus says Zeus hurled him from heaven when he tried to defend Hera during one of Zeus and Hera's arguments. Later authors reconcile the two accounts by saying Hephaestus was thrown twice. Either way, the result was the same. Hephaestus was exiled. Unlike other gods who ruled from palaces, he began his existence in isolation. He landed far from Olympus, injured yet alive. This fall defined him. Hephaestus was the only Olympian shaped by hardship. He did not inherit power. He forged it. From the beginning, he represented resilience, the strength born from adversity. Even Hesiod says Hera bore Hephaestus without union in love, meaning without Zeus. The usual interpretation is that she did this in anger after Zeus produced Athena from his own head. Hephaestus was not the most admired god, but he would become one of the most essential, because while others ruled, Hephaestus created. After his fall, Hephaestus did not return immediately to Olympus. According to early tradition, he was rescued and cared for by sea nymphs. They raised him in a hidden place, far from the other gods. There, surrounded by water and rock, Hephaestus began to work with fire. He discovered how heat could shape metal, how raw material could become tools, how creation could emerge from struggle. This setting shaped his character. He did not grow among gods of power. He grew in quiet determination. Over time, his skill became extraordinary. He created objects of precision and beauty, works that even the Olympians would later depend upon. This phase of isolation was crucial. Hephaestus did not receive status by birthright. He earned it through craft. To the Greeks, this made him unique. He represented intelligence expressed through work, knowledge applied through hands. He was the embodiment of skill. Hephaestus eventually returned to Olympus, but not through invitation. In one tradition, he crafted a magnificent throne as a gift for Hera. When she sat upon it, hidden mechanisms trapped her in place. No god could release her. Only Hephaestus knew how. The gods realized they needed him. Hephaestus agreed to return, but only on his own terms. When he released Hera, he was welcomed back to Olympus. This story carried symbolic meaning. The rejected god became indispensable. Through craftsmanship, he gained recognition. Through skill, he secured his place. Hephaestus did not demand power. He demonstrated value. From that moment, he became the divine smith, the craftsman of the gods. His forge would produce objects central to mythology itself. Despite his skill, Hephaestus's personal life reflected tension. He was married to Aphrodite, the embodiment of beauty. Ancient stories describe this marriage as arranged. It was meant to prevent conflict among the gods who desired her. The contrast was striking. Hephaestus represented labor and craft. Aphrodite represented beauty and attraction. Later myths describe Aphrodite forming a relationship with Ares. When Hephaestus discovered this, he did not respond with violence. Instead, he used ingenuity. He crafted an invisible golden net of fine metal and placed it around their bed. When Aphrodite and Ares met, the net trapped them. Hephaestus then revealed them to the other gods. This story highlighted his defining trait. Hephaestus did not rely on strength. He relied on intelligence. Even in humiliation, he responded through craftsmanship. The myth also reflected a deeper idea. Beauty and creation exist in tension, yet both shape the world. Hephaestus forged many of the most important objects in Greek mythology. One famous example is the shield of Achilles, described in ancient poetry as depicting scenes of life, cities, harvests, and the movement of the stars. This was not just armor, it was art. Hephaestus also created automatons, mechanical beings that assisted him in his workshop. Some traditions describe golden attendants that moved and spoke. Others mention self-moving tripods that served the gods. These stories show how the Greeks imagined craftsmanship as almost magical. Hephaestus blurred the line between technology and divine creation. Fire, metal, and intelligence combined to produce objects beyond human ability. He was not simply a smith. He was a creator of worlds in miniature. Hephaestus's symbols reflected work and creation. The hammer represented craftsmanship. It was the tool that shaped raw metal into form. The anvil symbolized stability, a foundation upon which creation occurs. The tongs represented precision, the careful control required to handle fire. Unlike other gods, his imagery was practical. There were no animals of grace or symbols of conquest. Everything connected to Hephaestus involved making, where tools were forged, where fire transformed material, where craft produced beauty. Hephaestus was believed to be present. To the ancient Greeks, Hephaestus represented resilience. He was the god who turned rejection into strength. He transformed weakness into ability. Unlike many Olympians, he was not defined by perfection. He was defined by effort. He showed that skill develops over time, that mastery comes through persistence, that creation requires patience. Hephaestus also represented intelligence expressed through hands. Knowledge was not only abstract, it could be practical. He showed that true power is not always visible. It exists in skill, in patience, in creation. If you enjoy uncovering the deeper meaning behind ancient myths, subscribe to Ancient Untold Stories, because the oldest stories still shape the world today.